Heading into the dungeon, Sira halts, stares at Kuga with fierce tenderness and says, "Kuga, we've come a long way." Ethan snaps, "Why so formal when we still have one final challenge ahead?" Sarah grips Kuga's sleeve, gratitude roaring in his chest, and tells him he's thankful, but this is where they must part ways. Kuga's jaw drops and he snaps, "Sarah, are you really going through with this?" He begs, voice ragged, for at least one explanation. They've known each other since their student days. Sira snaps, "Kuga's a jack of all trades. He dabbles in everything and masters nothing. Because of this, he decides freeing him is the only way to save the entire party." Kuga's still reeling when Sarah coldly announces he'll have to enter the hidden room alone. Kuga freezes, confusion written all over him, as Sira's grin cuts the silence. "Consider it my farewell gift." Sarah's words hit Kuga like a gut punch. The implication clicks, and he becomes convinced his life as a dungeon explorer is over. Makari's voice blasts from behind, snapping at Sira. "Aren't you pushing this too far?" Sarah snaps, "It has to be done. I'll use force if I must." Luga snaps, "I'm fine," and thanks Makari for caring. He strides past Sira and approaches the hidden room, voice cutting as he asks, "Is this the farewell gift you mentioned?" He grins, declares he'll take it gladly, and flings the door wide open. He bursts inside, the exit snaps away behind him, and a girl stands in the room. Fangs flashing and eyes cold as midnight. She could be a vampire as she leans in and hisses, "What is this?" Her gaze pins the lone figure. Does he intend to face her by himself? Before we go on, imagine this. 50 years ago, dungeons burst into existence all across Earth. Inside, proof that magic and monsters existed shattered the old world and spawned whole new professions. They unearthed revival magic, a one-time miracle that automatically resurrects the dead, and news of it exploded across the realm like wildfire. Dungeon delving explodes into a frenzy, and live streaming every heart-pounding run becomes the hottest craze. As the rise surged, it tore away the veil and exposed a darker secret, the hidden room of no return. It earned that title because, across the ages, not a single soul has ever come back from it. Everyone who dared step inside burned through their final resurrection spell and could never set foot in that dungeon again. Kuga barges into the room, locks eyes with the vampire girl, and becomes certain she's the monster who turned this place into a death trap. Back at their encounter, Kuga falls silent as the vampire hisses, "Banished?" And Kuga answers, "I was." The vampire hears it and erupts into a triumphant cackle, snapping, "I suspected as much." She's stunned. He stays unnervingly calm, even with his situation hanging over him. Kuga replies with a wry smile. He'd always expected this to happen eventually, and he even believes it might be for the best. The vampire nods, understanding in her eyes, and says she's glad he came. Kuga freezes, baffled, and the vamp Empire smirked, declared she was bored, then without warning unleashed a hail of jagged stones at him. Kuga instantly triggers his skill, his sword crashing into the incoming strike and stopping it dead. In a heartbeat, the vampire materialized at his back, sneering that he's far too rough with his blade. She unleashes another strike. Kuga whips around and barely deflects it. A slow, impressed smile spreads across the vampire's face as he parries her strike. Again, Kuga's eyes snap open. Her speed isn't speed at all, it's instant teleportation. It clicks. He steels himself and strikes first. He erupts into a lightning-fast barrage of surgical strikes, catching her completely off guard. She staggered back, and he lunged like lightning across the gap, striking again. She barely deflects the strike at the last second, then explodes into a savage counterattack. She lashes out with a razor-fast wing strike. He can't raise his guard in time and takes the hit. Takes brutal damage but regenerates himself like it's nothing. He rears back for another strike, and the vampire freezes, shock ripping across its face. Watching him breathe life back into wounds, she can't shake the suspicion. Could he really be a jack of all trades? Her insight blindsided Kuga. He forces out a reluctant yes, every muscle recoiling from the loathed label. The job title Hero duped him. It forges razor-sharp swordsmanship, unleashes both offensive and defensive support magic, and even mends wounds with potent healing. A true jack-of-all-trades, the hero piles up sky-high stats across the board. Formidable everywhere, but master of nothing. That flaw explodes into a crushing Achilles heel when the dungeon's barrier slams the party down to only 4 members. Forge a squad of specialists, each in a distinct role, so every member can unleash their full strength. Following that strategy, his former party hit the field as a perfect trio. Sarah tore through enemies with brutal physical strikes, Yulia unleashed devastating magic, and Makari anchored the team with flawless support spells. No dedicated healer? Kuga seized the mantle, became the squad's lifeline, and kept them standing. Clashing with the vampire ignited a fierce fire inside him, a feeling he'd never known. A rush of raw freedom hits you when you fight free of the crushing responsibility to keep everyone else alive. Without warning, the vampire's voice sliced through the air, calling to him. She had something she'd been dying to ask. She jabs a finger at the hovering object and demands, "What is that?" He smirks. "It's a streaming drone." Not recognizing the term, she asks aloud, "Does this have anything to do with your supposed betrayal?" He shakes his head and vows it isn't. Her curiosity rips the clash to a dead stop, and he blinks, incredulous. Am I really about to explain live streaming to a vampire? He tells her the drone's recording every second and blasting the feed live to viewers who pelt the chat with real-time comments. Her assault grinds to a halt. He presses on, pouring out his explanation. She leans in, eyes wide, hanging on every single word. She swallows what she's learned and snaps. "That drone watched our entire fight?" Kuga nods, admitting the drone was a parting gift from his old party, the very ones who abandoned him, and the vampire's voice softens as he says, "That sounds kinda sad." She closes the distance, drops a quick "thank you," and while confusion still fogs his eyes, she beams, gratitude flooding her voice. He's the first person who's ever stopped and patiently explained things to her. She leans in and fires. "What are the viewers saying in the comments right now?" Curiosity written all over her face, Kuga slams the dashboard open. Right off the bat, the very first comment squeals that the vampire is adorable. She freezes, stunned, as a crimson blush instantly blooms across her cheeks. Her curiosity blazing, she plunges into the comments and discovers nearly every one of them shouting that she's cute. Kuga smirks and tells her bluntly that most of the viewers are fixated on her looks. Her face blazes red as she hisses under her breath. "They're insolent!" she snaps. "Are all humans like this?" And Kuga feels that same doubt tear through him. He chalks most comments up to blunt honesty, and his calm belief sets her cheeks blazing and her tongue stumbling. She pauses, sees him hanging on her every word, and, heart racing, dares to ask if he'd mind her saying something a little strange. She bites her lip and whispers, "Will you teach me to stream?" Kuga freezes, eyes wide with shock, and blurts, "What do you mean?" She snaps that she meant every word. She's hooked on streaming now and wants him to teach her the ropes. Toro admits he understands, then challenges her. "If you're the dungeon boss, can you even step out of this room?" She snaps that she can. She says she usually gets an alert the second an invader shows up, suits up in a heartbeat, and blinks away in a frantic flash. Earlier, she was melting into a perfect nap when a rude jolt ripped her awake, forcing her to bolt over. She lays it bare and snaps. "Do you understand now that I can walk out of this room?" She leans in, closes the distance, and, grinning like she owns the moment, plants the idea. "Let's stream together." Words barely out of her mouth, her attention tilts a hair and she zeroes in, launching into a breathless, piercing talk about his blood. She backpedals fast and blurts that she only suggested it because he seems like the perfect partner. Kuga listens with an awkward, crooked smile, mind racing at how wildly this escalated. She literally jumped from wanting to learn how to stream to insisting they stream together. It hits him. The true enemy in his life is his sense of purpose slipping away. When he was a student, he and his friends started streaming dungeon runs for kicks, and he spent that time charging into fights and shielding everyone from harm. Every stream his words froze and the chat went silent. He never sees the spotlight. He sees Sarah's parting gift, eyes steady. He couldn't care less if his dungeon life ended right here. Despair swallowed him whole. He was utterly, hopelessly lost. Then he crashes into this strange vampire girl. And right now, he'd be lying if he said he wasn't utterly captivated. He steels himself and accepts her offer. Her face exploded into a radiant smile as she hurled herself into his arms and hugged him. A routine banishment explodes into the birth of a duo the world never saw coming. Kuga shoots the question, "Anything special you want to stream?" And the vampire girl simply answers, "Alicia," leaving Kuga staring, utterly baffled. She stares him down and says, "That's my name." He snaps, "Who gave you that name?" And she shakes her head. "I don't know." The instant consciousness ignited, the only thing she could grab onto was the name Alicia. Kuga senses the weight of her situation and bites back every question. He steps forward, proclaims his name, Kuga, and reveals he's 24. Alicia grins, calling it a cool name, and he presses, asking again if there's anything specific she'd like to stream. She snaps back, confessing she's had so much free time lately that realization suddenly slams into her. What if she rises to stand above them all? Kuga's brow furrowed and he shot back, "What are you talking about?" She snaps back, declaring she's talking about becoming that monstrously powerful creature called the final boss, and has decided to try. Kuga reels at her declaration, then after a beat he demands, "How do you plan to pull that off?" She bellows, "The first step to becoming a final boss is rising to an SS rank boss." She whips out a sheet that lays out every requirement to achieve SS rank and slams it into his hands. According to the paper, she must annihilate 30 invaders in an A-rank party and an S-rank party, force an S-rank boss to submit to her, carve out a boss castle lair, and free up an SS-rank boss slot. Kuga's jaw dropped. The list was shockingly meticulous, every entry clearly planned. He zeroes in on a few sharp points and throws down the question. Do we really have to defeat dungeon explorers? Alicia snaps, Kuga falls, and silence crashes down. Her grin snaps shut. She was swept up in excitement, hadn't thought it through, and Kuga would never turn on his own. He answers, voice steady. I don't really mind. And Alicia reels in surprise as Kuga continues. He barked that no rule forbids explorers from clashing with one another. The rule is brutal. Anyone entering the dungeon must have the auto-revival spell Relive Cast bound to them. No Relive Cast, no entry. Relive magic rips fallen explorers from the dungeon's depths, hurling their bodies outside and jolting them back to life. The spell fires only once in a lifetime. Die even once and the dungeon slams shut, never letting you in again. With that extra life burning in them, they're handed a dangerous freedom. Fights between them are permitted and the consequences land squarely on their own heads. Kuga reveals some streamers built entire channels around relentless brawls between explorers. He proclaims there are 4 S-rank parties now, and the one that towers above the rest is called the Duelist. Alicia's eyes snapped open. Learning she had to defeat an S-rank party to progress hit her like a punch, and she blurted out a question. She drills him to confirm there are only 4. Kuga nods, and she immediately grills him on his rank. He fires back that he used to belong to an S-rank party. Alicia snaps a decisive nod and declares, I understand. She snaps, so there are people ranked above you? He gives a curt nod, confirming it. Brushing that aside, he snaps a question. Does she even have a rank? As far as he knows, she's not listed among the S-rank bosses. Alicia snaps she doesn't. He zeroes in and fires off. So you're a hidden boss? She admits she can't be sure, but the idea of starting from zero electrifies her, so she seizes that spark and declares their channel's purpose. She live-streamed every brutal step of her rise, a rankless boss clawing toward the final boss, turning it into a raw, must-watch documentary. She plans to terrorize humans and snuff out their appetite for tasteless fads like dungeon streaming. Kuga agrees with her, but a storm of doubt rages inside him as he scrambles to find the role he's meant to play. A few hours later, the stream goes live. Alicia flings a dramatic wave at the drone and calls out to viewers. Can you see me? The chat explodes as messages flood in. Some melt at her cuteness. Others go silent in shock, frantically typing, Is this real? Alicia's jaw drops as comments pour in like a storm. The chat exploding, she slams the start button and kicks off their noteworthy stream. Kuga reels as a tidal wave of comments crashes over him and the viewer count rockets to a staggering number for a first stream. Alicia whips around to him, eyes flashing, and fires, Isn't this a great start? Kuga's voice trips, awkward and breathy, but he agrees. This is the first time in history a dungeon monster has dared to do something this wildly unconventional. The stream blew up early when whispers ignited into wildfire. A banished hero had forged an unlikely alliance with a dungeon monster. The stunt explodes, dragging in far more attention than they'd expected. Alicia snaps the chat to attention and announces something for their first stream. They're going to hunt explorers down. She keeps talking, and Kuga reels in disbelief, heart pounding as he realizes exactly what he's gotten himself into. While the chat erupts into utter bewilderment, Alicia's eyes snap to a group of explorers and she shoots the news to Kuga. He stands rooted, emotions churning, unsure how to feel. Alicia's smug grin widens as she sneers that the explorers just showed up without a second thought. Among the adventurers, Kenzu threw his head back and roared with joy. He'd finally made it this far. Nostalgia slams into him as he sees every one of his old high school clubmates back here after so long. Akina, a girl from his party, rushes to speak and declares she's always wanted to be in the same party as him. When he asks what she means there, the party is ambushed without warning, and 2 of his friends are cut down in an instant. Ambushed and stunned, the 2 whip around, and attackers pounce on them too. Alicia, the attacker, strides into view as Kenzu and Akina, fatally wounded, gasp each other's names on the brink of death. Shattered, Kenzu pleads, Why do things have to end up like this? Everything fell into place. Today they tore through monster hunts like it was routine, and nothing could throw them off. They'd stared death in the face time and again, and each time they ripped themselves back from the brink. No way they'd been that cocky to let something like this go down. He bellows Akina's name, aching to reach for her as their final moment closes in. She lunges, hand outstretched, shouting his name. And then, without warning, something rips the scene apart. Alicia strikes, and Akina collapses in an instant. Alicia erupts into wild laughter, shouting thanks for all their hard work while Kenzu howls in agony. He explodes, What the hell are you and that cougar doing? And Alicia just snarls, We're hunting humans. The words hit Kenzu like a punch. Stunned, fury ignited in him as he snapped, "Are you joking?" Alicia snaps, baffled. How can he blow up like this over something he does on the regular? Confusion clouds Kenzu's face as Alicia snaps, "Why do you stream dungeons?" He goes silent, she snaps, "Is it for money or recognition?" And her words light a fuse of fury in him. Alicia says she understands his feelings, then snaps that they're risking their lives for his petty hobbies and sneers that he should be grateful. Rage floods him. He spits a venomous curse at her, then his head is flung into the air. As reliving magic strips their bodies away, she flashes a razor grin and snaps, "Was that guy trying to say something?" Kuga froze in silence as the whole scene unfolded, stunned she'd truly gone all out. A B-class party of young explorers, savagely butchered. That never should have happened. Alicia's a vampire. She shouldn't be casually prowling this floor with that kind of strength. It was all a total accident. Sympathy slammed into him for those poor explorers while Alicia shot the question, "Is the stream getting decent viewership?" Kuga snaps that it's baiting her into a sly smirk, and she breathes, "It's good." Then she suddenly fires the question at the chat. "What do you think?" The humans recoil in horror, and yes, they're utterly terrified. Viewers swarm the chat, condemning her for killing the explorers and screaming awful, disgusting, monster at her. She got exactly what she wanted and revels in the victory. And as she keeps repeating it, she sneers, "Maybe now they've learned their lesson." More comments surged in, but this time the reactions flipped, taking a sharp, unexpected turn. One viewer insisted those guys were running twisted experiments on monsters. They butchered a slime just to time how fast it regrew. Everyone says Kenzu and his crew were wrong from the first second, and I lock into Alicia's stream and refuse to let go. Alicia, thrown by that unexpected reaction, rushed to clarify. Monsters are vicious and terrifying, so doing those things to them shouldn't matter. Suddenly another chatter erupts with thanks, declaring that something deep inside them has awakened. Crushed and reeling, she locks eyes with Kuga and voice raw asks, "Are humans monsters too?" Shock pins Kuga. He chokes out, "Maybe they are." Alicia fires back, demanding to know, "Are humans really worse than monsters?" Words die in Kuga's throat. He can't deny it, and a cold dread coils in his gut. He's convinced human minds lurching without warning will slam Alicia's plans off the rails. A few heartbeats later, Alicia reaches out and says, "Take my hand." Kuga freezes, swallows, then hesitantly slips his hand into hers. She zeroes in on his falter and snaps, "Hey, what's wrong? You embarrassed or something?" He stammers, cheeks heating. "Just a little." Alicia snorts, teasing that he's shockingly shy and Kuga can't argue. She reaches out and takes his hand. He tears a warp open, drops into the city of monsters and asks, "What do you think?" She declares, "True to its name, only monsters may enter this city." The live feed keeps rolling and viewers' jaws drop as they see the city with their own eyes. It's real. They drink in the city's electric charm, hearts melting at the little monster's irresistible cuteness. Comments rain down in a non-stop barrage, and Alicia nods, matching their chorus of agreement. She blurts, eyes wide, "Kuga's probably the first human ever to set foot inside the monster tower." The words hit him. He leans in, locks eyes, and presses, "Are you sure this is okay?" Alicia shrugs. "We'll be fine. There's no official ban." And Cougar forces a nod while doubt gnaws at him, reminding her he's only human and asking, "Are you sure this is really okay?" He forces out one more reassurance. "It's fine. He's hurt," then chokes off mid-sentence. A bolt of clarity slams into her. One raw question rips free. What exactly is he to her? She shoves the doubt aside and dubs him her special other, for now. Kuga gives a cool nod, accepts, and boom, he's suddenly Alicia's special other. Like he'd been claiming that spot all along. Even with him suddenly in the room, he blurts, "Can we really stream here?" No one steps in, so Alicia shrugs and takes that as permission. Viewers reel at her carefree swagger, erupting in chat that this is the first stream from Monster City. And now, because of her, everyone knows the city exists and gets front row seats to its bizarre spectacle. Alicia's set on one goal, crush every opponent and seize the crown as the final boss. She has another goal, terrorize humans until they stop dungeon streaming and raiding. A cold certainty snaps through Kuga. He believes that if humans realize monsters have lives of their own, more than a few will have their worldviews flipped. Doubt claws at him. Did Alicia plan that far ahead? And could her bid to sow terror already be backfiring? Alicia cuts through the silence and says they should go to where she's staying. Kuga agrees with a sharp nod and steps forward, only to have dozens of monsters lock their eyes on him. Cold panic spikes through his veins. Someone screams "Vampire-chan" at Alicia. The instant she turns, a bullet rips into Kuga. A towering minotaur materializes out of nowhere, every viewer's jaw dropping in the same instant. It's an S-rank boss. Alicia grins and calls out, "Mino-chan," then leans in and asks, "How are you doing?" Kuga exhales as calm floods him, and the viewers immediately assume they must be friendly. Alicia flashes a grin, announces Mino-chan as her friend, then points to Kuga and proudly names him her special other. Mino gives a slight, graceful bow and declares, "A pleasure to meet you. I'm Mino Taurus." And Kuga's eyes widen as he blurts a grateful thanks for such polished manners. Mino spins to Alicia, warning that bringing a human here could be a disaster. When she asks why, he fumbles, insisting it's common sense and begging her to think twice. Kuga freezes when Mino speaks. Mino's voice jolts him, impossibly cute, and it forces a grin. Mino spins to him, apologizes, then snaps that he's quite something himself. She spits that at him because he had the nerve to storm into a city crawling with monsters out of nowhere. And stunned because it's painfully true, he forces out an apology. Fans roar their agreement with her, and a surprised few sheepishly admit the cowgirl's oddly starting to look kind of cute. Doubts nod at Kuga. A human had no business in a monster city, but 2 relentless reasons forced his hand and brought him here. Alicia tore through a promising beer-ank party, turning any thought of him returning to human society into a deadly gamble. The second reason, Alicia is trapped in the dungeon. He even considers striking out on his own, but they're completely cut off, no way to communicate. He even toys with meeting at intervals, but the thought that one misstep could cost them their last goodbye stops him cold, so he pulls back. Alicia erupts in laughter as she reads the comments. One viewer says Kuga hasn't been right in the head ever since he left Kumazemi, and another flat-out declares him unhinged. She thrusts her phone at him. The viewers are already buzzing about him. Alicia snaps, "What does Kumazemi mean?" And he answers, "It's the name of my former party." Returning to the plan to bring him here, Alicia snaps that Kuga may be human, but he's her special other, and she won't let a single soul lay a hand on him. Mino gapes and demands, "Special other? What do you mean?" And the viewers snap in agreement, convinced she's the only one with a functioning brain. Once the stream goes dark, they bolt for Alicia's place. Midway, she tosses out a quick detour. He agrees without hesitation. They skid to a stop in front of a fruit stall. She asks what he'd like, and he replies, "Apples would be fine." She plucks a shiny apple from the stall and exclaims, "I like apples too, especially the green ones." She snaps the question at the vendor. "How much for 2? He shoots back, 500 yen. And the number slams into Kuga like a punch, his jaw dropping in shock. When Alicia snaps, "Something wrong?" he fires back, "It's nothing." But doubt flashes in his eyes. Did he really mishear? Alicia slaps a 1,000 yen bill on the counter, and the vendor slides 500 yen in change into her palm. Kuga's jaw dropped again as the vendor leaned in, asking if he was okay, and Kuga blurted, wide-eyed, that he couldn't believe they used the same currency as humans. Alicia shoots back, "Is it really that surprising?" He snaps, "Yes, it is. Japan's dungeon reigns yen." He can't stop imagining dungeons worldwide spewing each country's own currency. Here are 9 countries worldwide are confirmed to host dungeons: Japan, America, China, Thailand, the UAE, France, Egypt, Brazil, and Australia. Every one of them houses exactly 1 dungeon. Akira hides the gateway to Japan's dungeon. China anchors East Asia and Thailand stakes South Asia, isolating Japan's dungeon. Most of the explorers who dive into it are Japanese. Kuga drags the conversation back to cash and fires at Alicia. "How do we get our money?" She replies that they get a fixed sum every day, and Kuga scoffs, calling it basically a basic income. Alicia demands to know what's going on. He brushes it off. It's nothing. And because they use the same currency, he insists on paying for the apple. Alicia snaps, "Stop being so modest. I'm treating you today." And he relents. Later, they reach her house. She tells him to make himself at home, then snatches the robe from him. Alicia's letting him crash here, insisting it's only a temporary stopgap until she can erect her true castle. At first, he thinks he can just crash in the nearest available spot, but he can't. Alicia, with zero caution, breezily invites a man into her home. Dinner hits and she reaches for a lone green apple, of all things, while Kuga goes rigid, trembling at the shocking state of her living condition. Confusion knots her brow as Alicia slips off to take a bath. Kuga snatches a quick, packed meal from his bag and devours it. Moments later, as they turn in for the night, Kuga cuts the silence with, "Is something wrong?" And just like that, a new problem explodes. She shoots back, "There's only 1 bed." And Kuga's face drains as he's thrown completely off guard. Alicia's smile shatters as she blurts out she totally missed that there's only 1 bed. She scrambles for a plan, and the instant the image of sharing a bed with him flashes through her mind, her cheeks burn crimson. The thought is utterly unthinkable. Kuga misreads everything and convinces himself they've already pulled off several unheard-of feats just today. Alicia freezes, heart hammering. She invited him in, and she can't bear to make him sleep on the floor. She plops down to sleep on the floor, and Kuga just shrugs. It's fine. He whipped out a sleeping bag, rolled it open and crashed into it, leaving Alicia behind. She pouts, her cheeks erupting into a fiery rosy blaze. Moments later, deep in the night, Kuga lies out cold while Alicia plants herself quietly at his side. She locked eyes with him and slowly licked her lips. He rockets atop him, pins him down, hoists the arm and sinks a soft bite into it. She plunges somethings into him. Pain rips through him and he snaps awake, shocking her. She fires off a quick apology, baffled. Her anesthetic bite never kicked in. Kuga snapped. "What are you doing?" She trembled and lifted the syringe into view. She insists she only needs a single drop of his blood. Kuga understands, then snaps, "Can't you at least do it while I'm awake?" Alicia blurts a shaky apology, admitting she can't shake the taste that clung to her this morning. Her words slammed into him, memories of their earlier encounter exploding. Did everything they'd done mean nothing to her? And was she hunting his blood the whole time? He rolls up his sleeve, bares his arm, and offers her his blood, telling her, "Ask and I'll give you some, just not enough to kill me." She explodes with joy, grabs him in a tight hug and thanks him, then plunges the needle in and draws some of his blood. She presses out a single bead onto her fingertip, then darts it to her lips and licks it clean. He takes a bite. It's so delicious his grin explodes across his face and pure joy surges through him. He presses. "Are you sure that's enough?" She snaps. "It's plenty." He presses again. "Do vampires usually drink blood directly from the body?" Alicia's brow furrowed as she snapped that doing so would open a minefield of problems. She names him her special someone, more than a mere underling, and Kuga freezes, stunned, clutching for words he can't find. They crash into sleep, and in a heartbeat morning explodes across the sky. Freshened up, they plunge back into the dungeon, and Alicia carves through more humans, tallying 26 in total. 4 yesterday, 4 just now. 8 kills carved into the past 2 days. Turns out Alicia had already hunted down 18 people, blasting the total up to 26. That rockets him toward the first SS rank boss milestone. 30 invaders down, and he's got only 4 kills left to seal it. They're live today too, and the chat explodes. Some rave about her brilliant work, while others point out that today's fight wrapped up way faster than yesterday's. They roar their support, urging her to give it everything. 4 targets remain, and Kuga beams. Thrilled viewers are finally warming up to the whole explorer hunting spectacle. They're even starting to see real supportive comments appear. Still, hateful ones swarm the replies. They shoved that aside and launched into the hunt for their next target when a voice sliced through the air behind them. Alicia and Kuga whirl around and freeze. An entire party of explorers stands there. Heads swivel. Onlookers instantly identify them as the party called Monster Slayers. The party leader strides forward, greets them, and declares his group Monster Slayers. A viewer erupts that they're in an A-rank party allied with the S-rank squad Evil Slayer, one of the 4 S-rank teams stuck at 4th. Infamous for savage monster hunts where they toy with their prey, and Evil Slayer's affiliate, Monster Slayers, is every bit as merciless. The party leader snaps. "Are you the ones whipping up this chaos and soaking up all the attention?" Alicia hears it, flashes a bright smile and asks, "Really? Is that true?" While viewers shout warnings to be careful. Those people are deadly. Out of nowhere, one of them lunged. Kuga and Alicia exploded into motion, sliding aside and narrowly evading the blow. The party leader sneers. "Why would we even bother dodging that?" Alicia whirls to Kuga and fires. "These guys are really A-rank?" Kuga meets her stare and gives a flat, confirming nod. The moment she learns the truth, it snaps into place. She sees why they're buzzing with energy and declares herself lucky, leaving Kuga dumbfounded. Alicia grins, luck's on her side. First, she can clear her 30 human hunt requirement. Second, she can take down an A-rank party. She smirks and declares it's the best bargain she's ever seen. And the party leader rockets forward, launching a brutal attack. She parries it like it's nothing, then clicks her tongue in disappointment. Viewers were certain they'd be left in Alicia's dust. The Monster Slayers were brutal powerhouses the crowd loathed, constantly warning they were dangerous, especially the leader. Alicia grapples the swordsman when the mage suddenly unleashes a fireball that detonates between them, blasting the swordsman backward. She twists aside and instantly counterattacks, her wings unfurling like razor blades to slash at the mage. The party's tank slams into the strike, swallowing the blow and shielding the team. Her attention slips. The swordsman lunges from behind and unleashes a lightning quick slash into her back. Kuga bats it away with effortless ease, leaving the leader glaring in annoyed disbelief. Alicia's eyes flash with surprise. Then she snaps that she can handle herself. Kuga just nods in agreement. Relief surges through her. After watching Kuga linger on the sidelines this whole time, he finally charges into the fray. Alicia snaps at Kuga. Take the swordsman. I'll tear through the three at the back. He seizes the task and they snap into new positions, braced for the battle's next phase. Snarling, the party leader lashes out at Alicia. You really think you can just walk away? Then lunges for her, but Kuga rockets in and stops him cold once more. Clocking Kuga as his opponent, the party leader barks, Do you actually think you stand a chance in close combat? Shidahara, a fencer, a class honed for lightning-fast, up-close swordsmanship. Kuga bears the hero title with A-rank stats, but he can't channel them all at once. Shidahara's stats snap into place with his fencer instincts, letting him unleash his full combat might. With the fight seconds away, Shidahara sneers, dubs Kuga mediocre, and vows to teach him a lesson. He ignites acceleration magic, rockets across the gap, and slams into his foe with a ferocious attack. Kuga flicks the attack aside like it's nothing. Shidahara snarls, Do you find it amusing that a hero, the one meant to be humanity's savior, has now sided with monsters? Irritation flares in Kuga as Shidahara grins and taunts that it's laughable to call someone this foolish a hero. Shidahara lashes out with his sword again, sneering as he spits. See, this is why your companion abandoned you. The remark hits Kuga like a punch. His fingers unclench and the sword begins to slip from his hand. He nods without a sound, convinced that if he weren't there, the Kumazemi party would have surged into far greater power. That party had been his whole world. Now it's gone and he couldn't care less. He clamps his hand down tighter. He unleashed a razor-straight vertical slash that cut Shidahara down, ending him in an instant. His party gaped in shock as Alicia struck like lightning, felling them one after another in a heartbeat. The entire party was obliterated, their bodies convulsing as they twisted into spawn, and the onlookers gaped, utterly awed by the raw power of Alicia and Kuga. Alicia snaps, You finally did it! And Kuga nods, his voice flat as steel. I killed a man. They snapped back to life automatically, but it was still a death. He'd ended them, even if only for a heartbeat. He slammed the dungeon shut forever, crushing the lives they'd forged there. They'll never cross its threshold again. This was inevitable. He's Alicia's special other, and he believes it with every fiber of his being. Alicia leans in, searching his face, and he shrugs, voice calm and cold. Not much different from cutting down monsters. Alicia nods and calls it a good sign, but Kuga isn't convinced, doubt curling in his gut. A system window slams onto the screen. The job stone flickers, signaling a brand new job tree has just emerged. Alicia's voice crackled with glee as she shouted to Kuga, Drop everything and come see what I just received. She's shouting that they've already smashed through 2 of the requirements. Elation surges through her, and the chat explodes with congratulations, while new viewers scramble to ask what the requirement is because Kuga forgot to explain it. They're still checking the system window when someone explodes in and launches a savage attack. Kuga and Alicia spot the attacker a split second too late. They parry the strike, but its force slams Alicia into a boulder. The attacker barrels past, and Kuga's eyes snap with a flash. He seems to know her. The attacker is unmasked as Yulia. She once fought at Kuga's side in his old party. Yulia's attack fizzled against Alicia. No real damage, just a jab at her temper. So Alicia sneered, Is that your idea of a greeting? Yulia snaps, Shut up, and hisses that she's a thieving cat who ravaged all their hard work. Alicia, confused, turns to her chat. A single clue smacks her awake. Yulia's from Kuga's old party. Hearing that, Alicia scrambles through her memory for the party's name, but only one word claws its way back, Zemi. Yulia snaps, It's Kumazemi, and rips into her for leaving out the most important part. Alicia admits she doesn't know the whole story, then hurls the question, Wasn't Yulia one of the people who kicked Kuga out? The moment Yulia confirms it, Alicia snaps, What's your problem? Kuga still remembers the day they expelled him. Yulia barely spoke, sealed herself in silence, and left him scrambling to read what she was thinking. Yulia snaps that words fail her, so she'll make Alicia understand with a brutal beating. She snarls and hurls herself forward to strike again, but this time, Alicia parries her strike without breaking a sweat. The clash erupts and the viewers roar with excitement. A few in the crowd gasped as they recognized Yulia, the muscle-brain saintess, and the audience erupted, dubbing the clash Vampire versus Gorilla. And they're split in two, completely unable to pick who to root for. Yulia is a walking storm, barraging the battlefield with non-stop magic and hurling lightning point-blank into anyone without hesitation. She tears through foes with savage magic and bone-crushing hand-to-hand skill, earning the nickname Miss Gorilla, and her blunt tongue plus knockout presence made her Kumazemi's most popular member. Yulia then unleashes her spell Holy Night and rips a searing attack toward Alicia, who he parries again and rips into a lightning-fast counter. Kuga clings to the sidelines, heart hammering as the battle explodes into something far too intense. Even Yulia staggers as Alicia tears through her defenses with terrifying ease. Alicia lunges for the finishing blow, freezes mid-strike and snaps, "Kuga, what are you doing?" He lunged in front of Yulia to take Alicia's strike, leaving both women stunned. He channels a surge of healing magic into Yulia as Alicia watches from behind, utterly silent and razor-focused. Yulia, joy exploding, cried Kuga's name. He snapped back, "Leave." Confusion flashes across her face as she blurts, "Are you really talking to me?" He nods. "Yes." She snaps she's far from finished, and Kuga echoes her. No way Yulia goes down that easily, and neither of them has even unleashed half their true strength. Kuga snaps, insisting this isn't about proving anything with brute force. He explains that ever since Kumazemi kicked him out, his life spiraled into chaos and shoved him into the arms of this vampire, and he apologizes in advance. If Yulia so much as tries to harm Alicia, he won't let it slide. The declaration hits Yulia like a thunderclap. She goes utterly speechless. Then, Kuga reels in confusion as she starts trembling, then suddenly crumbles into sobs. Out of nowhere, he snapped and hurled, "Sira, you're an absolute idiot!" Still sobbing, she bolts away, leaving Kuga even more puzzled as viewers instantly turn on him, pointing, accusing him of making her cry, and he freezes. Stunned, his voice breaking into a panicked, P. He begs them to hold on, furious and stunned that he's been cast as the villain, then blurts out, "Did Yulia just call me Sierra?" He rips into the viewers, trading sharp retorts, and Alicia leans in, whispering a quiet, fierce thank you for taking her side. Mission accomplished, they pulled the plug on the stream and headed back to Monster City. Later, Alicia's eyes flash as she suggests recruiting some minions, and Kuga, true to form, agrees on the spot. He's still reeling, trying to fathom why Yulia showed up alone to confront Alicia that day. Kuga doesn't overthink. He banishes the doubt and fires a quick message to Yulia, asking if she made it back safely. A cold-clipped "she did" snaps back at him, just a curt confirmation and nothing more. Crisis crushed, Kuga locks onto Alicia's plan to seize SS-ranked boss status. Like Alicia just warned, one condition demands you recruit minions. And they can't be grunts. Every single one must be an S-rank boss. Kuga slaps his palm in agreement, then flags the S-rank requirement. Asks if felling one is the doorway to becoming an SS-rank boss. Alicia's confirmation cuts the silence. Kuga nods and snaps, "Are you going to turn the Minotaur into a minion?" Alicia snapped, fury lighting her voice. "Mina's my friend. I would never turn her into a minion." Kuga nods. They agree to look for someone else, and he rips open the current list of S-rank bosses, which includes Basilisk scorches with a petrifying glare, Arachne snaps webs of death, Werewolf Minotaur barrels in with savage horns, Slime undead slithers and corrodes, Spirit Fox flickers through the shadows, and Mech Soldier stomps with cold, relentless steel. 8 bosses stand now, yet once a lone force reigned. Jackie, the entity some whispered was the evil spirit. When Jackie fell, the count shockingly jumped to 8, and ever since every time a boss is taken down, a fresh one springs up to take their place. 8 S-rank bosses prowl the field at all times, always 8, never fewer. Alicia must take down an S-rank boss to claim her S-rank, while Kuga, who's only ever been a rank, is about to step into utterly uncharted danger. He shrugs it off and snaps, "How are you going to get the minions to follow you?" She meets his gaze, calm and unbothered. It usually depends on their free will. She must bend their minds until they crave submission. Kuga gets it, and Alicia drops that there's another way. Kuga's eyes flared and he snapped, "Does that mean you'll be sucking their blood directly?" Alicia bites out a reluctant confirmation. She hates doing it, and Kuga's eyes go wide. He never pegged her for someone with a moral compass. Alicia snaps that she refuses to drink blood she can't stand. Kuga's jaw drops with shock, but he clamps his mouth shut. You can tell. In the battle, Alicia siphoned the blood through her writhing tentacles. She never drank a drop herself. She fixated on Kuga's blood, favoring it above all, and he couldn't shake the question. Was it because his blood type was O? He latches onto a half-remembered rumor that type O blood is a magnet for insects. He snaps, "Who are you targeting?" She giggles, mischief sparking in her eyes, and replies she's already made her choice. The Japanese dungeon cleaves into 2 distinct parts. From upper layers that tower into the sky to lower layers that plunge into the underground, the challenge never lets up. The upper 15th floor and the lower 15th floor hit with equal brutal difficulty. That mirrored design birthed the Japanese dungeon's nickname, the double-headed dungeon. Climb higher and the floors swell into progressively larger spaces. Every 10th floor is eerily monster-free, so floors 10, 20, and 30 turn into perfect spots to pitch camp. Massive cities roar to life on the 10th and 20th floors. while Alicia's hidden room lurks deep on the 43rd underground floor. Her long absence left it sealed tight, and the rank bosses lurk 2 floors above. The 49th floor is a battlefield of its own, cleaved into 3 upper zones and 3 lower zones, and each zone hides one of the 6 SS-ranked bosses. When humans topple an SS-ranked boss, the position sits empty. No system kicks in to replace them, unlike with SS-ranked bosses. Alicia in front, they surged onto floor B32, and Kuga barked, "Where are we headed?" An underground dungeon where jagged, rocky walls claw outward, vanishing into endless darkness in every direction. Viewers instantly pinpoint the floor and call out its resident, and Kuga's jaw drops at how much they already know. The viewers erupt. Kobolds infest this floor. Alicia confirms with a hard, dangerous grin and declares they'll storm the kobold colony today and wipe them out. She's plotting a full-on strike against the kobolds to forge their entire colony into her personal army. As they close in, Alicia's gaze locks on a lone human girl up ahead, and she fires a sharp warning to Kuga. She presses him for what to do, and he snaps back. "Aren't we supposed to hunt her?" Alicia says it all comes down to the opponent. She normally spares anyone who shows no hostility toward monsters, unless she's got a damn good reason to hunt them. They can't tell from here whether the girl is hostile, and Alicia snaps that explorers these days are almost always hostile, or maybe it's the opposite, Kuga agrees. A cold alarm spikes in him. She's alone, and not a single streaming drone is even in sight. Solo explorers pop up now and then, but they're a rare sight. Like Yulia yesterday, she ventured out alone and learned the hard way that going solo is a terrible idea, even for the most confident fighters. She's alone, odd enough. But worse, she drifts there, distracted and vacant, and Kuga can tell she doesn't even know what she's doing. The girl barks an order and slams the auto-revive spell offline, and Alicia spins on Kuga, demanding, "What are you doing?" He snaps that it's awful she might be trying to take her own life. Alicia freezes in confusion as viewers explode into wild speculation. She can snuff out her own revive, so they declare her a reviver and urge everyone to tread carefully. Losing such a valuable reviver would be a shame. Kuga nods sharply. Only a reviver can shatter their own revive spell. Right before plunging into the dungeon's maw, explorers cough up a fee to a revive insurance outfit, and a reviver anchors a revive spell onto them. It binds them to an automatic resurrection. The instant they fall, they're snapped back to life, so they can storm into the unknown with no real risk. Every explorer must clear a checkpoint that hunts for the revive spell. When it locked onto hers, it crowned her a reviver, one of the rarest jobs there is. Viewers shout that almost every reviver is swamped with outside contracts for insurance companies, so spotting one inside a dungeon is a jaw-dropping rarity. Clarity snaps into place for Alicia. She beams and thanks her viewers with a huge, grateful shout for breaking it down. She whipped around to Kuga and demanded they do something, and he shot back, "What do you mean?" She fires back with a grin. "Her class is pure gold. Make her our minion." They surged toward the girl as Alicia shouted, "Don't be so hasty!" Gasps ripped through the crowd as Alicia struck with iron resolve, and the girl froze, eyes wide, stunned to see her. Verified. The girl bolted, dismay flashing across Alicia, who then shot her tentacles out, snared the fleeing girl, and pinned her fast. A girl's presence warps the vibe into something strangely off. Kuga lunges to stop Alicia, but she inexplicably starts drooling and snaps that the moment she saw the girl she can't help but want to hunt her. Kuga blurts out, "Is Alicia some kind of bear or something?" He forces out an apology and says he's ending the stream for now. Some viewers cry out, "Why?" while others warn the chat's getting a bit too sensitive. The stream cuts out as the girl shouts for them not to stop her, declares she's ending it here, and begs to be killed swiftly with the sword. Alicia leans in and fires the question like a bullet. "Why do you want to die so badly?" Uninterested but relentless, she keeps pressing for an answer. She's already marked for death, so dive headfirst into one last reckless pleasure before the end. A slick tentacle snakes across the girl's cheek, and she chokes out, "What do you mean, Alicia?" Out of nowhere, Alicia hurls a curveball. "Do you like dogs?" And the girl freezes, bites her lip, then murmurs that she likes them quite a bit. Hearing that, Alicia releases her, yells, "It's great!" snatches her hand and drags her toward the place she calls Dog Paradise. The girl announces she's Kushina. Alicia beams, greets her, and shoots, "Do you know who we are?" Kushina winces and apologizes, confessing she doesn't know much about them. Are they famous streamers? Alicia shrugs, insists they're not, and says it's fine if she doesn't recognize them, then admits she isn't even sure whether they're famous. A viewer snaps that they're actually quite well known. A viewer bursts into the chat, declaring Kuga and Alicia the hottest topic right now. Alicia's eyes widen as she reads the comment, and Kushina can't see the streaming window at all. Alicia squares her shoulders and presses on toward the Dog Paradise, and Kushina freezes, snapping, "What do you mean?" Alicia snaps, Wait and see. You'll understand, assures her. And they march into the first place, only to recoil at how utterly unappealing it is. They race to the second spot, but it lets Alicia down. Then they push on to the third. Tantalizingly close to perfect, yet it still falls short. They hit the fourth spot, and it's exactly what Alicia's been hunting for. She gapes at how pretty the kobolds are, then turns to Kuga and asks if he's getting the same good vibe from this place. He agrees, calling the air calm and pleasant, and Alicia plants herself here, claiming the spot. Kushina narrows her eyes at the guards and snaps. Could this be a kobold colony? Alicia's flat confirmation lands, and Kushina's jaw drops as understanding crashes over her. This is exactly the dog paradise Alicia meant. Alicia reaffirms it, declaring with a bright laugh that here she can pet and cuddle kobolds. Then she turns to Kushina and presses, "Are you happy?" As they approach, a Cobalt guard locks onto them and jolts, shock ripping across his face. Cobalt sentinels loom at every mansion entrance, their armor and features shifting to match the type of colony they're guarding. Alicia zeroes in on the Japanese-style colony. The kobolds here mirror the Shiba from the news. Even Kushina, who'd scoffed earlier, surrenders and reaches out to pet them. As she reaches out, kobolds surge toward her. Kuga explodes forward, bars them with his arm, and takes their vicious bite meant for her. Alicia flashes a grin at Kuga's lightning reflexes and spits a warning to Kushina. Kobolds turn ferocious in an instant. Kushina stumbles out an apology to Kuga as Alicia smirks and reveals the trick. A kobold's weak spot is its throat. Stroke it, and they go tame. She does, and they instantly sink into obedient calm. With the situation under control, Alicia snaps, "Let's head inside," and Cougar answers with a sharp nod. Kushina's voice trembles as she blurts an apology. She got Kuga hurt while trying to protect her. He snaps, "It's fine, don't worry." But she refuses to accept it, insisting it's not fine. She rushes forward and asks if she can help him. He agrees, and she unleashes a healing spell on him that, her hands knit his wounds shut in an instant. He reels, stunned, and blurts, "Your healing is impressive." Kushina shyly snaps, "You mean it?" and admits it's her first time wielding healing magic. She normally relies on auto-revival. Kuga froze, stunned, as Kushina's calm voice promised he'd be fine. He thanked her, and she waved it off, insisting she was the one who should be thanking him. As their conversation dies, Kushina freezes. She's barreled in, standing way too close and moving far too fast. She recoils, snapping that they have to go now and bursting out, "Will Alicia be okay?" Kuga vows to her that Alicia will be fine. Right on cue, Alicia yells, "Why are you taking so long?" She sneers, "Too slow." She'd already tamed every kobold while they were still scrambling. Shock jolts Kuga, Kushina, and the viewers. A viewer blurts that the stream suddenly turned into a simple healing session and Kuga scrambles to apologize. Later, Kushina dives into playful chaos with the kobolds. Alicia leans in to chat with one of them, and Kuga hangs back at the edge, silent and scanning every corner. He turns to Kushina and asks if he may ask her something. She nods, and he demands to know why she undid her revival magic. He'd heard healers were rare and basically guaranteed a safe future. Kushina snapped, "That's exactly why I did it." Her words threw Kuga off, but she pressed on, declaring she'd taken the safe route and signed up with Relive Insurance. Bonuses hit just right, 0 overtime, 0 pressure, a rock-solid, dependable gig. Because of that, she was snatched back to life the day before yesterday, and snatched back again yesterday. She hit pause today. Chances are she'll roar back into action tomorrow. Revival after revival. That's the relentless drumbeat of her life, and she grits her teeth through every return because she knows it's for someone else's sake. She's been hollowed out from living for everyone else. It hits her why Kuga asked, and she spits out that she never intended to take her own life. She admitted a strange mood had gripped her, making her ache for a reckless, electrifying rush of thrill and excitement. A flicker of understanding hits Kuga. She begins to grasp her feelings as automatic resurrection magic rewrites the game, letting people plunge into dungeons without fear and slashing the risk. Dungeon exploration exploded into a full-blown, pulse-pounding spectacle. Resurrectionists exist for a reason. Kushina's words slam into Kuga, and he realizes the trade might carry its own twisted curse. Alicia explodes into the conversation and drops a bombshell. She suggests Kushina become her minion, leaving Kushina baffled and She snaps, "What do you mean, Alicia?" And Kuga, assuming she's clueless, blurts that Alicia is a monster. Kushina's shock snaps into understanding when she spies the wings. She turns to Kuga, sees he has none, fires the question at him, and he says he's human. The revelation slams into her, and after a breathless beat, she apologizes and refuses. Kuga gapes and demands to know why, and she snaps that her mom would kill her if she ever became a monster's minion. Alicia throws in the towel and Kuga's eyes flash. He spots the gaping holes in her logic but bites back every protest. Kushina reels, stunned to witness people acting with such reckless abandon. Convinced she's talking about Alicia, Kuga snaps a sharp nod and fires back. They really do! Alicia snaps that Kushina's talking about him, and he reels as shock hits him like a punch. Kushina watched their unusual interaction and felt a daring spark flare. Maybe it's time she cracked open her shell a little too. Alicia lunges again, offering to bind Kushina as her minion. Kushina recoils and snarls a flat refusal. Her mom would kill her. Alicia snaps to it and pulls back. She bends the kobolds into obedient minions, but Kushina refuses and slips from her grasp. After splitting from Kushina and carving through the kobolds on the dungeon's 3rd floor, Alicia and Kuga charged back toward the monster city. They can bolt out of the monster city through any exit but must re-enter at the exact same spot, so Kuga and Alicia have to trudge all the way back every time. Alicia halts at the fruit stall again and snatches up a few apples. Kuga reaches to pay, and when Alicia says it's fine, Luga snaps, bragging that their stream has been raking in a steady, respectable income for him. Alicia freezes in bafflement as Kuga snaps that he's pulling in a fortune now, and she gapes, utterly stunned. He lays it out. More viewers mean more money, and since he wouldn't have nearly that audience without her, he urges her to take the cash. Alicia senses the plea in his eyes and nods, and he urgently asks if she can use May Pay. That's how streamers get paid. When their money runs out, they'll have to rush into a human city to withdraw more. Her confused reaction slams into Kuga, and he instantly realizes they can't withdraw money here. Shoving everything else aside, he pounced on her earlier remark, the tiny daily payout, and demanded she spell out exactly how it worked. Alicia jerks a 1,000 yen note from her pocket and grins, saying 5 of them just appear there every single day. Kuga's jaw drops when he realizes she receives 5,000 yen per day, and realization slams into him. He's going to have to return to the human city. He throws a grateful thanks at her for the explanation, and a vendor's shout yanks his attention. A cold jolt hit him when he realized he'd forgotten to pay. He blurted a frantic apology and vowed to pay immediately, but the vendor waved him off and clarified he meant Kuga can use MayPay here. Kuga and Alicia blink in stunned confusion as the vendor repeats, "MayPay's accepted," and the news slams into them like a lightning strike. After paying the vendor, they pressed on, but Alicia froze. She'd never believed something like that could happen, and it felt like pure magic. She mentally bookmarks the survival manual for later, and Kuga's face goes slack. He can't believe monsters actually have one. He tells Alicia his body burns energy like wildfire compared to hers, so he has to eat far more, especially iron, which his body urgently needs. Alicia blinked at his talk of iron, then yanked him toward the next food stall. Kuga dives into the spread, piling plate after plate, and Alicia gapes, stunned by the sheer volume he needs. He snaps at her. "What were you talking about with the kobolds?" She lifts a ring like proof and tells him she gave it to them so they can call her whenever they need help. He snaps, "Is it a summoning device?" Alicia confirms, and Kuga fires back. "So the kobolds can summon her at any time. Again?" Alicia's sharp yes slices the air, and Kuga's head snaps up. Does that mean she's the one who's become their minion? Locking onto his stunned look, Alicia snaps, "You think I let those fluffballs charm me into becoming their servant?" Kuga protests, but his face betrays him and hands her the proof. Alicia grins. Fluffiness is supreme, but she clarifies it wasn't the only reason. She reveals the ring can call them too, then proves it. The band erupts in light and they pour into the room. The summoning actually worked. A Cobalt burst into existence. Alicia blurts a panicked apology at the Cobalt, insisting she'd only been testing whether the summoning worked. The Kobold snaps out a sharp woof, can't speak, but its eyes blaze with understanding. She reveals to Kuga that this Kobold rules the colony, and when she asks its name, the creature snaps back a staccato of barks. She pauses, then spits out the Kobold's name. Cobalt. Kuga's suspicion flares in silence. He's certain she made it up on the spot, since the test is complete. Alicia slams her palm down, conjures a crackling summoning vortex that rips the Kobold back as she calls, "I'll see you later." Kuga's eyes snapped alive. Calling them at a moment's notice would be a game changer. Alicia nods, but warns a cooldown locks her out before she can summon again. The truth slams into Kuga. She can't keep doing this forever. Alicia confirms it with a smile and tells him they have another role to play. Kuga locks onto the pleased gleam in her eyes. She's savoring this, and he won't uncover what role she's playing until later. Holed up in her temporary home, Alicia turns to Kuga and fires. "Do other people stream too?" Kuga flashes a grin and answers, "Yeah, plenty do." She confesses, eyes alight, that lately curiosity keeps pulling her toward other people's streams. She blurts out, eyes lighting up, asking if they can watch other streamers. He grins, says yes, and snaps the streaming window open as Alicia squeals that she wants to watch them. Kuga thrusts the window into her view. Her thumb races down the feed and lands on a live stream. The stream's from Kumazemi. Kuga and Alicia freeze as Yulia explodes onto the screen. Spotting her, Alicia snaps, "Is this the party he got kicked out of?" And Kuga's curt nod seals it. For the first time since he walked away, Kuga dives back into a Kumazemi stream. The biggest change hits like a thunderclap. A new member has appeared, and Kuga's gaze snaps to them as curiosity and alarm ignite. He starts to wonder what's going on. Alicia then snaps, "Are they really his former teammates?" Kuga stares at the screen, doubt gnawing at him, and Alicia snaps that they look completely lifeless. She nails it. Kuga snaps to attention, he sees it too. Sira is locked in combat with two skeletons slashing at one of them. Blows storm in from behind. He snaps his arm up and just barely parries one. These two skeletons are ranked monsters, the fearsome twin skeletons. Knowing Sira will need help, Yulia bellows to the new party member Sion and urges her to take the front as usual. Sion the priest slams it as a reckless move, and Yulia bristles as irritation flares. Sion snarled that the standard strategy demanded they protect the healer, him. And though Yulia understood that rule in her bones, she still couldn't bring herself to accept it. Sira crumples under the strike, blood blooming. Sion screams and pours forth healing magic, knitting the wound shut in an instant. Viewers who'd watched every second of the exchange exploded in praise, shouting Sion's restoration speed was insane. No wonder. He's Lucian's disciple from an S-ranked party. They turn on Sarah, sneering he's dragging the team down. Yulia's rage boils over and she fires holy night magic from a distance at a skeleton, but the skeleton darts out of the spell like it's child's play. Sion keeps chanting, "Everything's fine," and Yulia bristles, fumes of irritation rising. Makari, the party's enchanter, calls out like a flare. Yulia's face snaps taut. She knows Makari's urging her to stay calm. Sion warns Makari. The enchantment is slipping and asks for a quick refresh. Makari snaps into action and recasts the spell onto Sira at the front first. Sion slams the idea aside and snaps, "That's a dumb move." He snaps orders to stick to the strategy and shield the healer first, while viewers once more praised Sion's ice-cold composure and ripped into the Kumazemi party, saying any group that runs on vibes alone is doomed to struggle. Smirking like he owned the place, Sean snapped at his viewers, "Don't you dare belittle my new party members." It spins to face Makari and Yulia and vows, "Keep growing inch by inch and you'll be okay." One viewer calls out Sion, saying all he does is insult his party by labeling their ideas stupid. But Sion's fans instantly shut him down, insisting Sion isn't insulting but guiding them and they should be grateful he even joined the party. Makari snaps to Sion's commands as Sira's irritation coils tighter with every passing second. Kuga and Alicia sit glued to the stream. Alicia's voice tightens. Yulia looks shockingly weaker here than when Alicia fought her, and Kuga gives a sharp nod. Alicia fires off, "Can we leave a comment on the stream?" Kuga fires back that they can. Alicia bursts out she'll cheer them on, and Kuga is left wondering why he can't say it out loud. Alicia leans in and asks how to comment, and Kuga springs into a demo, showing she can either send a voice message or type it and have it read aloud, and right in the middle he totally blanks on something crucial. Kuga's explanation clicked into place. Alicia's fingers raced across the keys as she typed it out and fired off a comment. Kuga overlooked that the sender's name shows with the comment. Alicia's words blasted out under his name. Kuga freezes, horror slamming through him as he realizes his mistake. He's just outed himself. Sion, Makari, and Yulia heard the comment and froze, shock carving itself across their faces. Longtime viewers shout they recognize him while newcomers stare confused. Someone blurts, "Isn't that the guy who got kicked out?" And one viewer even hurls weirdo at him for streaming with a monster. Yulia whirls to Makari, voice raw as she apologizes. "I just can't take this anymore." Sira screamed a fierce cry and barreled into the skeletons, sending the girls reeling in shock. He lunges, unleashes a cataclysmic slash, roars, "Don't you mess with me!" and the blow tears the skeletons into bone dust. Alicia feels a twinge of sadness, but she explodes into enthusiastic cheering that flips the outcome into something positive. Sarah suddenly dives into a reckless, all-out assault and shreds the skeletons. And what they just went through is something Kuga has never seen Kumazemi endure. The whole saga exploded in our third year, when desks were coldly assigned by the iron law of alphabetical order. Kuga landed in the second row from the right, tucked near the back, and Sarah slid into the seat right beside him. Luga already knew him. He'd been impossible to miss in high school, his shock of blonde hair demanding every gaze. Deed hair broke the school rules, yet his blistering grades, athletic feats, and a charm that disarmed every teacher earned him only a verbal warning. It was practically an unspoken exception. And now, sitting beside that very Sarah, Kuga felt his heart hammer and nerves coil tight in his chest. It slammed into focus the moment Sira greeted him, and Kuga stammered out a nervous reply. Noga insisted Sira was a social butterfly, darting through rooms and pulling everyone into his orbit. He slid into conversation with Kuga and casually asked him to fetch items from the store, while Sarah, from their very first hello, treated Kuga like a longtime close friend. Kuga couldn't deny it. Being around someone like Sarah was quietly cracking open his old outlook, inch by inch. Sometimes Sarah flat out refused to step into the bathroom without Kuga at her side, and the two marched home together every single day. Sarah had plenty of friends, yet he spent almost every moment glued to Kuga. The year shot by in a heartbeat, and when graduation hit, they were catapulted onto separate paths. Kuga had resigned himself to the end of his bond with Sira. Then, on the eve of graduation, his phone exploded as Sira tossed him a surprise invite into a group chat. About 10 students assembled, an all-star squad made up of nearly every standout from their class. Kuga scanned the chat. Only Sarah's name clicked, leaving him stranded and painfully out of place. He braced for cold stares. Then most members swept him up with warm smiles and open arms. Yulia and Makari stood shoulder to shoulder in the ranks. Yulia, everyone's class beauty, appeared and Kuga's jaw dropped. She'd always given off a cold, untouchable air. She'd joined because she and Makari were close friends. Their bond pulled her in. The others treated the group as just another social circle they drifted through. To Kuga, it was a lifeline. One day, Sira burst into the group chat and shouted, "Who's up for dungeon streaming?" He was gunning to become a famous streamer. Kuga faltered for a heartbeat, then gave his word to back Sarah. The moment Kuga declared he was in, Yulia shocked everyone by jumping on board, and Makari barreled in too. She couldn't leave Yulia as the only girl. The instant they launched their dungeon run stream, Kuga felt a jolt of excitement. He realized he was actually having fun, couldn't say why, but it stopped feeling like a chore. He watched Yulia and Makari peel back their masks, exposing sides he'd never seen before. Sira insisted they pick an actual channel name soon. Makari agreed, and they plunged into a rapid-fire brainstorm for the perfect title. Makari pitched, snatching a single character from everyone's name. Sira found it adorable and said yes on the spot. With that, Sira ripped you from Yulia, Ku from Kuga, me from Makari, and C from himself. He threw down a challenge to fuse their ideas into something that actually worked, but silence swallowed the room. Everyone had been waiting for him to come up with it. Sira whipped her gaze to Kuga for ideas, and after a beat of thought, Kuga tossed out Kumazemi. They twisted the U and slipped in a little vocal trill, and Sira grinned. She liked it. He fired the question at Yulia. Was she okay with it? She answered. Because it was Kuga's idea, she'd accept. On a wild whim, we plucked a name from thin air and christened the channel. When their streams went steady, Sarah's stunning looks and magnetic charm blasted her into the spotlight. Makari poured on charisma and playful flirtation, and Yulia's cool beauty plus surprising quirks stole everyone's hearts. The viewer count inched upward, steady and relentless, climbing bit by bit. What had started as a half-joke about becoming famous streamers caught fire, and slowly became a real, within-reach goal. Kuga refused to let that dream die. He swore it would be his mission, and toiled relentlessly in the shadows. He relentlessly honed his core physical skills and devoured the era's cutting-edge combat structure theory. He hurled himself into weapons training, pouring every ounce of will into it, the first time he'd ever truly committed to anything. The grind hit him like a freight train sometimes, nearly crushing him, but he surged on, refusing to quit. A single burning purpose fueled him, to make sure no one would ever have to retire. That purpose exploded into the spotlight during Kumazemi's first B-rank monster fight when they faced an orc. Savage blows rained down until at last they herded it into a corner. In a last, desperate gamble, the orc heaved its axe with savage force, pouring every ounce of strength into the throw. Sierra, locked in brutal close-quarters combat, misjudged her range and nearly got felled by the orc's sudden lunge. In a split second, Kuga, still a warrior, hurled himself into the line of fire to shield Sarah. Everyone went silent, convinced Kuga was dead, his abdomen split by a wound so deep it stole their breath. Kumazemi's single fatal flaw stared them in the face. There wasn't a healer among their ranks. Deep down, everyone knew none of them had the aptitude for healing, yet nobody even considered swapping members. That silent loyalty ignited catastrophe at the decisive moment. Kuga lay collapsed when his jobstone suddenly flared to life, blasting him with a fierce, blinding light. He cheated death the instant his role flipped from battle-worn warrior into a shining hero. He ripped a surge of energy from his core and healed himself on the spot. They crashed into his arms, tears streaking down their faces. Kuga had survived, and Kumazemi finally had a healer. The hero class wasn't built to be a guardian, but if it let him shield his teammates, Kuga grinned with fierce satisfaction. Kumazemi hailed a half-baked healer, and it soon became the very shackle that dragged them down. Or so Kuga desperately clung to that belief. Later, on their way back, Alicia's eyes snagged Kuga. He'd gone eerily quiet, staring into nowhere like he'd vanished inside his own head. She leaned in and demanded, "What's wrong?" The worry etched across his face, impossible to miss. He yanks his gaze away and mutters, "It's nothing." Alicia lets it go, strides off and snaps, "Get it together." Viewers who decode Kuga's expression shout, "You got this!" Another voice cheers him on, and Kuga flushes, awkwardness knotting in his chest. As they push on, Alicia and Kuga lock eyes with someone familiar. Mino-chan, the Minotaur who's Alicia's friend. And viewers explode, buzzing. Will they collab with her? Alicia calls out her name, and Mino-chan jerks back, flinching like some unseen fear just knocked the breath out of her. She whirls, sees Alicia, relief floods her and her breathing steadies, but her hands still quake. Alicia zeroes in on the flinch and snaps, "What's wrong? Why are you so jumpy?" Minho-chan opens his mouth, swallows his words, then forces out, "It's nothing." Alicia reads the guilty twitch in her face and knows she's hiding something. She's right. Mino-chan explodes into panic, swearing she isn't hiding a thing, but she's so clueless even Kuga and the viewers can see she's hiding something. Out of the whole crowd, Mino-chan's reactions steal the spotlight and melt your heart. Alicia pleads with Mino-chan not to shut them down, reminding her they're her friends so she can tell them. The words hit Mino-chan like a wave, tears welling and spilling down her cheeks, and she agrees, deciding to tell them everything. Viewers press for answers, and Mino-chan's voice cracks as she admits she thinks someone is stalking her. Kuga and the viewers stagger in shock, hearts clenching with pity, as they demand to know who would dare target such a delicate girl. It's utterly unforgivable. A viewer screams for Kuga to rush in and seize the man, and the shout blindsides him. Alicia's jaw dropped when she learned Mino-chan's situation, fury flaring as she branded it unforgivable. Then she grabbed Mino-kin's hand and vowed, "Don't worry, I've got you." She vows she and Kuga will drive the stalker off. Mino-chan beams with pure joy and asks Alicia if they really will. Alicia snaps, "Of course we will," and Kuga's grin seals it. Mino-chan beams with raw relief, crying out that their help means she can finally go home. She leans in and lays it out. A few days ago, she first felt something creepy tailing her, and today the fear hit full blast. She sprinted straight for the busiest street she could find. Hearing this, Kuga snaps and pictures herself swinging her giant axe to smash the stalker. A brutal solution she thinks none of the viewers even suggested. They ache for her, recoil from the stalker with pure disgust, and wish he'd die 1,000 times over. They reached Mino-chan's home, basically a twin of Alicia's temporary place, but 3 times bigger. And Mino-chan practically exploded with relief, admitting she'd been so terrified she bolted and even forgot to water the plants. Panic knots her stomach. She's been tending them with painstaking care, and missing even 1 day of watering will send the vegetables wilting. Seeing this side of her, viewers reel. Who in their right mind would pick her as an S-rank boss? Nobody could bring themselves to harm her. One fan even vows they'll cheer for Minu if any dungeon streamer dares to hurt her. Alicia beams at the comment, relief exploding through her as viewers finally start seeing Mino for who he really is. Suddenly, all 3 of them felt a razor-sharp presence prowling just out of sight. Alicia's gaze snaps to the trembling Mino and she hisses, "Is this the one who's been stalking me?" Mino trembles uncontrollably, recognizing the same presence she felt before. Only now it explodes into a staggering, overwhelming force. Alicia's sure the stalker is right nearby and insists they search outside the garden first. And when Mino freezes in terror, Alicia pulls her close and promises she'll be far safer with them than alone. They burst out of the garden and spot someone standing at the entrance. A werewolf explodes into view, colossal and bone-chilling, and the crowd reels as a few recognize him. The S-ranked boss werewolf just slotted in to replace the salamander. As other viewers echo the claim, Alicia blurts, "Is this true?" Then snaps open the S-rank boss list. And there it is, confirmed. Alicia's voice slices the air as she snarls at the werewolf, demanding to know what he wants with Mino. The werewolf snarled. He'd only been guarding Mino to keep anyone from hurting her, and Alicia, bewildered, leaned in and demanded, "Is that really it?" Trembling, the werewolf growls back, declaring only he is worthy to protect Mino. Mino's skin crawled and terror flooded her. She snapped, demanding what's wrong and reminding him she doesn't even know him, but the werewolf misreads her disgust as shy charm and finds it adorable. At that chilling reaction, viewers erupt, convinced this figure is the very embodiment of a stalker, and beg Mino to bolt this instant. Kuga and Alicia froze, breath stolen, as the werewolf's chilling reply slammed into them. Suddenly the werewolf blurts, "Why?" with no clue what he means. Mina, baffled, snaps for an explanation, and he growls, "Why would you choose to be with humans?" He growls that if she dares mingle with humans, she'll soil her S-rank title and watch her pure beauty be stripped away. Rage ignited in Mino, he thundered at the werewolf, "Don't you dare insult her friends!" Alicia reels. Mino's explosive cry makes it clear he counts both her and Kuga as friends. Even after that bold declaration, the werewolf forces a calm mask, hisses that he's fine, then sneers pity. Calls her too gentle, says Kuga, and Alicia brainwashed her. So Mino steps forward and snaps a flat, furious denial right into his face. He ignores her and dives into the story of how it all began the day he met her in a flower shop, and love slammed into him the instant he saw her. His obsessive tale claws at the viewer's patience. But for a while, the crowd and everyone nearby must endure his relentless, rambling confession of one-sided love. After a long, furious rant, the werewolf storms off for the day, vowing they'll meet again. Mino cuts him dead, flatly says they won't, and calls him a creep, leaving him visibly stunned. A teleportation circle erupts beneath the werewolf. Light swallows him and he vanishes, leaving everyone reeling. Without warning, Alicia announces she's made a decision. Kuga fires. "What is it?" And she roars they'll bend the werewolf to her will and make it her minion. Kuga recoils at the idea, brows snapping up as doubt sparks. Is she really serious even after the werewolf laid everything bare? Later, Kuga and Elisha reach the werewolf's castle, towering on the 45th underground floor. They charge straight for the castle, intent on turning the werewolf into her minion, and the crowd stares, stunned by Alicia's unstoppable drive. Everyone's sure the beast won't see this ambush coming. Kuga's gut screams. Are they even strong enough to storm into an S-ranked boss fight on their first ever attempt? Kuga's heart hammers, but Alicia grins. "No guards, let's slip inside." She yanks the door open, and they step into the room. They crash into a pack of werewolves who halt, eyes flashing and howl, demanding to know who these intruders are. Since they ask, Alicia storms in and snarls she's a vampire come to bend the castle's master into her minion, and the werewolves explode in fury, baring teeth and screaming traitor for arriving with a human. Alicia rips through a handful of werewolves before they can lunge, instantly sizing them up, weak alone, dangerous in numbers. She hatches a faster plan and snaps her summoning ring to life. Summoning circles burst to life everywhere, and the viewers reel in stunned confusion, eyes darting as they scramble to understand what's happening. Suddenly, hundreds of kobolds erupted from nowhere, bound to Alicia by the summoning contract she'd struck earlier. Viewers erupt as the kobold army barrels in, instantly dubbing them the Sheba Squad, while newer fans melt at their cuteness and whisper that Alicia must have used summoning magic. Alicia slams an order at the Cobalt chief. "Take down the werewolves! I'm backing your squad all the way!" She speaks, slashes her fingertip, and her blood explodes into a mist that takes hold instantly. The kobolds balloon into hulking, snarling threats, and Kuga can't help but wonder, is this the power of her buff? The kobold chief suddenly bellowed, "To receive this power is an honor beyond words!" Kuga's jaw dropped. Bafflement crashes into him and the crowd. Everyone's scrambling to figure out what's unfolding, and one viewer is hopelessly smitten by the chief's voice. Alicia explodes with enthusiasm and cries to the Cobalt chief, "I'm counting on you, Cobalt!" The Cobalt chief snaps to the order, then locks eyes with her and growls, "My name is Wano." Alicia's cheeks flare crimson as she stammers, scrambling out an apology for calling him by the wrong name. With that, Wano, the Cobalt village chief, bellowed, sending all the kobolds charging to repay their master with blazing glory. The other kobolds howl with glee and surge forward to pounce on the werewolves, and the viewers roar, calling it the most epic scene yet and declaring these Shebas anything but ordinary. Alicia points at the chaos and declares Wano and the others will handle the werewolves while she and Kuga plunge deeper into the castle. Kuga nods in agreement. They bolted upstairs, flung the door open, and locked eyes with a werewolf sitting on the couch. Alicia's smirk cuts the night as she taunts, "We meet again," and the werewolf answers with a menacing giggle, sneering that he never expected her to come on her own. Now that she's here, the werewolf snarls, convinced he can finally make her vanish for trying to steal his minotaur. When the werewolf snarled that Mino was his, viewers stiffened with dread and the chat detonated into a screaming brawl as some fans insisted Mino belonged to them. Kuga and everyone watching freeze as a figure materializes, standing dead center beside the werewolf. Gasps rip through the viewers as every eye snaps to her. Could she be a lone wanderer? Alicia demands to know who she is, and the werewolf whirls, locks onto the girl, then with a predatory grin growls that she's just a little hobby of his. Kuga and Alicia recoil in disgust, and Alicia snarls at the werewolf, "You're going to lock this girl up too." The same fate you have planned for Mino? The werewolf snaps a denial, growling he couldn't. This girl is special. Alicia scoffs at the excuse and barks to Kuga. Take the girl and leave. Kuga's jaw clenches. He won't leave her alone, so he asks, Are you sure? And Alicia's gaze steels as she snaps, I'll handle the werewolf. Her insistence that Kuga take the mission forces him to draw his blade in a flash and slam it against the girl's iron collar. He tears the bindings apart with a single, effortless motion. Not a scratch on her. Then sweeps his cape around her and tells Alicia he'll return once he's carried the girl somewhere safe. As they leave, the werewolf lets them go with a snarl, declaring they need a lesson. Alicia fires back that he needs that lesson too. Exiting the main room, Kuga wheels to the girl and asks, Are you okay? She answers yes. The clear ring of her voice hits him like a lifeline and relief surges through him. Kuga's mind leaps to whether the werewolf prefers her youthful look, but he shoves that thought aside and stares at her filthy, ragged clothes as pity wells up in him. He cinched the cape around her, tied a tight bow knot, and snapped, Follow me! Heat floods her cheeks. She falters, then steels herself and accepts his guidance. Meanwhile, Alicia lunges into a savage duel with the werewolf, unleashing a relentless flurry the beast can barely block. Kuga shoved the streaming drone into Alicia's hands. The viewers locked onto the feed and roared for her to take the werewolf down. Seeing a real monster-on-monster clash for the first time, they explode with excitement and crown it villain versus villain. Running out of steam, the werewolf lunges back to retreat as Alicia blinks into his space, teleporting instantly and making his rage boil. He rocketed into the air, claws bared, dove down to finish her. She teleported away and his strike smashed into the earth, leaving him injured. The crowd reels as she crushes an S-rank boss. Someone gasps that Alicia might outclass most S-ranks. Yet this display screams she's on a whole different league. The viewers cheer, but Alicia's gut drops, and her instincts scream. This fight shouldn't be this easy. She snaps, Aren't you a bit too weak? And he clicks his tongue, irritation flaring. Some viewers gape at her question. Others are certain she utterly demolishes S-rank monsters. After a heartbeat of silence, Alicia snaps, Are you really an S-rank boss? And the werewolf, hearing that, explodes into a smug, rasping giggle and taunts, When did I ever claim that? Leaving Alicia frozen in stunned disbelief. He calls out that the human she brought is taking far too long to come back. And Alicia snaps too, connects the dots and bristles with irritation. Viewers zeroed in and slammed the chat with cries that Kuga just can't catch a break. As Kuga hauls the girl to safety, she suddenly blurts to him, Do you know the game called Werewolf? Her relaxed voice blindsides him, and he confesses he's never played the game, only heard whispers about it. She leans in and says, In the game, a deceitful werewolf masquerades as a human and stalks villagers by night. Is that the one? Kuga snaps, Maybe, I'm not familiar with all the rules of the game. She murmured to Kuga, her voice a soft, insistent whisper. Listen closely. She flashes a crooked smile and drops the bomb. She's the werewolf, and Kuga's jaw hits the floor, words choked off. After she floored the fake werewolf long enough to keep him down, Alicia tore through the castle, worry gnawing at her as she hunted for Kuga, desperate to know where he'd gone. With each passing minute, Kuga stays missing. Panic claws tighter at her throat. She tore through every room, reached the last door, burst it open, and Kuga stood there. They spot him, whole and unharmed, and the viewers explode in relief. He's alive! Kuga locks onto the worry shadowing her face and snaps, What's going on? She shoved him back and shouted for him to run, jabbing a finger at the girl and snapping, She's the real werewolf! Kuga snaps that he already knows what will shock Alicia. The girl confessed and laid everything bare for him. Viewers reel at the reveal that she's the werewolf. A handful brag they figured it out from day one. Yet every single one still melts at her killer cuteness. The werewolf girl cries that Kuga said he wanted her as one of his kin. Kuga snaps that it's Alicia who wants that, not him, but she waves off his correction and keeps insisting she agreed because Kuga wanted it. Alicia's scream rips the air. Viewers reel as whispers spread that Kuga was born under a star that makes monster girls fall for him, and a chunk of the audience brands him a traitor who must be eliminated, leaving Kuga frozen in shock. Reeling from the chaos, Alicia demands why the werewolf girl said yes. After a heartbeat of silence, the girl admits it was because Kuga was kind to her, and Alicia's shock deepens. She presses on, breath rattling. When Kuga pulled her to safety, he peppered her with, Are you okay? Kept telling her, You did great, and vowed she didn't need to worry. Her breath hitched. Never before had anyone spoken to her with kindness like that. Viewers gaped. Stunned, this was all it took, and some even crowed they could spit out lines like that themselves. A viewer suddenly bellows at Kuga to step aside and declares he'll take Kuga's spot. Alicia trembles, forcing out the shaky question. What did she just say? She snaps, annoyance sharpening her features, admitting nobody's ever said anything like that to her. Kuga snaps that it's only because she's never faced a situation like this, and the truth crashes into Alicia. She freezes and goes silent for a while. Yes. Alicia goes eerily silent, and the chat explodes with questions. Some swear only a handful will survive, while others frantically beg, "Don't jinx it!" Alicia sinks into thought, and a single remark lets slip she's considering feigning a little weakness herself. She snaps, denying it outright and barking at them to stop spouting whatever they please. She tore her eyes away and snapped that she absolutely wasn't thinking that. Right then, a phony S-rank werewolf burst into the room and bellowed, "Gree!" Spotting Alicia, he snaps, "Still not satisfied?" Before she can answer, the girl blurts, "Big brother?" at the werewolf. Kuga and Alicia reel as shock slams them, and viewers roar with one burning question. Are they really siblings? Now the idea sparks, they lean in and spot it. The fake S-rank werewolf and the girl named Greedo have the same hair. The werewolf growled, "What's going on?" Gree let a heartbeat-long silence hang, then declared, "I've found my destined one." After saying this, she storms up to Kuga, closes the distance, and proclaims she's becoming his minion. Alicia and the werewolf freeze in stunned disbelief as the wolf's mind frays. He fears the blow to his head is spawning hallucinations. Confusion exploded in him and he snapped at Gree. "Have you lost your mind?" She clamps Kuga's hand and gasps that his kindness struck her like love at first sight. Even more shocked, the werewolf snarls at Gree to calm down, warning that love at first sight is a recipe for disaster. After all, for all she knows, Kuga could secretly be a cheating, violent, toxic mess. Kuga bristles, furious, convinced they're just saying whatever they please. The werewolf snarls, taunting Kuga, "Are your feelings real or just a one-sided crush?" And the audience bursts into laughter, convinced they're siblings because their obsessive energy matches perfectly. Gree spits that she doesn't care if it's one-sided and tells her brother his opinion doesn't matter. She grins and throws out, "So, can I call myself Kuga's minion now?" The room drops dead silent. Alicia falters, but Gree snaps her shut. She insists that once she's officially contracted with Kuga, he summon her anytime, anywhere, at least twice a day, and he gives a reluctant nod. The contract's sealed. Alicia grins. On paper, her minion's minion is hers. Alicia dropped those words and Kuga's gut tightened. Could the rules really be shrugged off like that? A twinge of doubt pricked at him.